Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DeFi Kingdoms and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. I am joined tonight by Franz and Guy Kid. Boys, how we doing?
Doing great. Excited to talk some PvP, some combat, some real video game stuff. No charts coming on the screen tonight. This isn't a crypto podcast tonight. It's a video game.
No charts, but there will be spreadsheets. Can't wait for
True. Will be spreadsheets.
Need some good spreadsheets.
But it's gaming, so there's always spreadsheets in gaming, I thought, right?
Of course.
There is when you're an adult in your game. Remember back in the day, you used to just buy the strategy guide?
Yeah. No, completely.
And that was the only way that you can pass level 1.
You guys had that experience, the Pokemon Red and Blue strategy guide is probably like my most read book as a child.
Oh,
man. Metroid Prime had a good one, too.
I didn't have it for Pokemon, but there were a lot of secrets. I remember somebody traded me a Mew and thought that they got the best of the deal.
I didn't think that was possible. I always thought that was an urban legend.
No, Mew, you had to use Game Shark to get it. But I traded him a high level for like a level 1 Mew, and he's like, "Oh, I ripped you off." I was like, "Dude, I just got a Mew. I can go get another Amistar.
It's untouchable.
Yeah, I can go get that."
All right. Well, other than reminiscing, although there will be plenty of that this episode,
we'll bridge it in.
We're gonna be. I know. Honestly, I didn't know both of them were gonna wear it like this, and whatever.
We're going with the Mythic Squad route, where
I know. I feel like we are. That's their thing. I feel like you can't do that.
Well, sure, I mean, it's the bullish hat. It's everybody's thing.
Sure. Fair enough. All right, but on this episode, we're going to do something we're very excited to do, and that is some PvP theory crafting. We're going to get to that a little later. I want to quickly just run through a few notes here. The team had an AMA on Thursday. Today is Saturday, the 17th. So 3 days ago, they had an AMA. Not too much here. I think the cool thing they talked about, Dreamer got on there and was talking about how pumped they were about how the release went. Serendale 2.0 is open. It went, honestly, pretty smooth. Like, I mean, I don't think there were any real hiccups. But he also mentioned something interesting that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and that is Jewel getting listed on a centralized exchange. So this has been kind of a rumored thing forever for Jewel, and, I think it'll be really cool. I think it would be a big, boost to Jewel.
I don't see. Do you guys have any opinions? The negative of it, of like more exposure to more things. Yeah. Get more people known about it. It will be a micro cap on any kind of exchange, so everyone will be like, "Oh, let's buy the cheap thing."
Exactly.
That's fine. I don't know. I think the centralized exchange talk is a little overblown. I think it's a bit of a red herring, where like it's like one of those things that we have a lot in this game, where we think that it's gonna just skyrocket the price and it doesn't really have too much of an effect. I prefer the slow grind that we're kind of going through now, where it's going up, and it's going up because of people that are really invested in the game with their time, not just financially.
Right. I hope so too, but I think
it's not a bad thing.
One of our big things that we always want is more players, more exposure, and if it gets on a centralized exchange, it's going to cause more people to click on it, hypothetically. Sure. And so maybe we'll get more players. I think it'll be a net positive overall.
Yeah, no. I didn't want to say that it would be a negative. I mean, perpetual swaps could be a negative, but not too worried about it. I'm just going to keep stacking my Jewel.
Just
keep selling that Jade.
Someone creates like a short Jewel. Like, oh, that'd be bad.
Yeah, half of Twitter would be on that trade.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little hangover from your pod with Grady last night.
Yeah, everybody go check that out. Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting. I just wanted to bring it up real quick that they talked about it, and it sounds like it's going to happen. They didn't say, obviously, what exchanges. Obviously it comes to mind just off the top of my head. They said it was going to be a big one. I
think FTX was the big one, right?
Or FTX, or...
Maddie didn't pick up on that one.
I did. Come on. Give me more credit than that. Or Coinbase, I think, would also be
never
interesting. I don't know. I feel like also, too, that'd be wild to see, like, normal people be like, what is this? And, like, have to explain how many, like, layers it is to get to actual game of this. Like, I don't know. But interesting. Other stuff in the AMA, they said that everybody's working hard. That was the other big thing is pets. Green eggs are next.
Right.
And we saw a bunny that was going to be one of them. And it's going to be happening pretty soon, it sounds like. Because it sounds like the art is being pumped out pretty quick. So that sounds fun. Can't wait to see that. I don't know. There's not, discussion on that, I don't think.
I mean, I think it's exciting that green eggs are coming, right? Because we know we're getting close to these level 10 profession quests. We know we're getting close to pets being a part of this game, right? So, having green out, like, will they come out before yellow, or are we waiting on yellow's artwork and everything too? I mean,
No, they said it was because mining or gardening, whatever. One of them is more difficult to do.
Mining,
they're probably wait on it. I think the mining was more difficult. Yeah.
There's a lot going into mining, right? Because with the locked balances and things like that, gardening's definitely complex as well, but not quite as much.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they don't. Sure, there'll be plenty of it. I hope they don't rush it out, obviously, but also would love to see the rest of the pets come out, because I think I wanted all the pets to come out at once, and it's kind of annoying that it's been such a delay, I think,
I'm going to get really excited.
Two other things going on, so I get it.
I'm going to get really excited about pets when they have utility. Yes, I have all my eggs, like, not all my eggs, but I have like 30 of each color stacked up, and like, it just doesn't excite me to do them yet. Yeah. But I know that I should be doing it now and should be kind of like cultivating a good crew now. Yeah. But I just can't get into it until there's so much else going on.
I mean, like a huge part of pets is that crafting section that I don't think that's happening for a while.
I wonder if pets will do anything for level 10 profession quests.
Well, they said XP
they
bonus,
will, yeah,
and like a prof bonus for that first, the fishing or the foraging, gardening, mining stars.
Right. Yeah.
So that'll be good. The experience boost will be a thing.
There you go.
Hubert said, what?
Guy, where's your bloater?
I know. I'm sorry. It doesn't fit into my blurred wall behind me.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's on that wall.
No one knows what's on that wall. It could be anything. Also, all right, so one final note before we get too into the... I do want to bring this up because I actually didn't see this until recently. Tiers are crazy jumping up in price right now. I know we said no charts. We won't show any charts, but...
We can throw a chart up.
Have you seen this, and any thoughts on this in terms of, are you selling? Are you just holding strong?
I sold a bunch
changing your summoning
yesterday.
strategy at all? What did you say?
I sold a bunch yesterday right before Pumped Up.
Oh,
it's funny you say that because I bought a bunch today.
Well, it actually just dipped back down.
Yeah, it did.
I could pull up a chart.
So I think I am in the green. Yeah, I made 16 crystal. Cool.
Nice.
It threw all the gains right back at us. That's USD.
I mean, it's still
looking
trending
into it
up,
in terms of Jewel, but same.
Yeah, well, if you think of, they said that they changed the crystal drop rate or the tier drop rate, so there's going to be less of it. And as pets come out, what is it? 200 tiers for each hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So like the demand for tiers is going to go through the roof the next.
Dark summoning added to that a lot.
Yes.
As more and more heroes get over level 10, assuming the degens in this community didn't already waste all their summons, it's going to cost more to summon above level 10,
Look at Effect saying tiers will flip crystal. We still got a little ways to go. It's still what, 5 to 1?
We got to think crystal's coming back, right?
Yeah,
like soon.
I think this is a temporary thing. And then, this is, I feel like I have to say Mr. before this name, Mr. Larry Binance Jr. Doctor, yeah. What happens when the Garden of Missions run out in Crystal Vale, for example? Will there be other chains of power? Well, I mean, that's the second part of that question interesting, but more importantly, looking at that front part of it, I mean,
how much of the utility of Crystal is geared towards emissions in gardens?
Well, I mean, it's taking up a lot of the crystal right now, the gardens, right? You gotta hope that by the time, when is that, March that happens?
Yeah.
You gotta hope that there's a relatively large sink or drain for crystal, and that would probably be PvP, right? Like duels provides a bit of a drain, summons provide a drain, but PvP and more importantly PvE, right? Where
Yep.
there are different things we're using that crystal on. It's in this new power token economy where Jewel is kind of the actual power token and the crystal and jade are the play tokens. I feel like gold is kind of redundant. Because I kind of always saw that as the play token, right?
Well,
like,
you need that. Yeah, I mean, you need it to make the items.
Right, you need it for different things.
Yeah.
But if there was no gold and instead we were using crystal for those things,
or if there was no crystal and instead we were using gold for those things, that would kind of make sense. And then gold can be universal across chains.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, or I was going to say something like, would hypothetically a service where you pay crystal and then someone does the work of doing the gold to make the items, you know what I mean? Like, is gold going to get so useless that it would be worthwhile to, do it per, like, an escrow service that does it for you,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think gold will have some utility and will stay relevant.
I think equipment.
I think Worm just hit it right there. Gold's universal and inflationary. There will always be more gold being printed.
And meant to be inflationary.
Yep.
And I think Sargent kind of hit on the net, that he got it right here.
Words.
Yeah.
I think it's a red herring.
Oh, are you making fun of my use of that? I used that right, didn't I?
Yeah.
Whatever. No, but like right now, if Crystal and Jade, right, are supposed to be equivalent as play tokens,
why are they so different right now?
It's 4x right now. I mean, the Y is there's not as much Jade out there, and there's more to do with it right now. But yeah, I think that is the trade. You can stomach it.
So Jade really cools off like mid-February. So I don't think we'll get 1-to-1 Jade to Crystal till like mid-Feb.
Why mid-Feb?
I'm looking at the Jade emission rates right now.
Okay.
So it's at.
But I feel like PvP could throw a real curveball in that.
How so?
Because if you need, let's say it only is released on one realm, like it's only in Crystalville or only in Serendale. I mean, I don't think that'll be it, but like something like that could super throw everything off,
But break down why you're saying that. So
because if you need one of these tokens to participate, and it's
talking
only in one of them, that token is going to, I think, go up in price because people are going to be trying to buy it as much as they can.
I wasn't talking to you though. I was talking to Guy.
Oh, okay.
Break down why you're thinking that the emissions going down will be bad for Jade price. Right?
Because the only reason people are buying Jade right now is to chase the higher APRs in the gardens.
Okay. Got it. So you're saying there's less utility for it, less of it in gardens because it's not as beneficial.
Once the emissions rate in Serendale becomes closer to the emissions rate in Crystalvale, you'll see more price parity because then it just becomes an in-game token at that point.
Yeah, guys, this episode's not about PvP or theory crafting. We just wanted to get you here with that.
Yeah, that was just our
so that we can put the charts up on the screen.
No, we're done with charts. We're done with analysis.
Yeah, can we talk about PvP, please?
Let's get into it. Okay, so a week and a half ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it was last
Abilities
Tuesday.
Finally here.
Or no, it wasn't. It was this week. It was last Tuesday. That wasn't a week and a half ago. It feels like a week and a half ago. Anyways. Workhorse went on with Bolon and Hubert, and they did an AMA, and they dropped some alpha all over everybody. It was just sprayed everywhere, and they
alpha
showed us,
everywhere. It was a mess.
Yeah, it got everywhere. One of the key things that they showed, and which they confirmed, and if you've been following us and our podcast, we've been talking about advanced abilities. Forever. We thought this was going to be the key to finding good heroes, and they finally revealed, at least what they're going to be called, and a little bit of how they're going to function. They gave us these two charts. We have.
Can I stop you for a question?
Sure.
So, we were very high on abilities before we knew anything. Now that we know something, has your opinion changed? Are you more bullish on them, or are you less bullish on them?
I'll get into it, but I'm much more bullish on passive, and I'm sort of neutral, same level for the active.
I need a transcendent in the worst way.
Well, sure.
AKA bullish.
Okay. So Maddie, if you're buying a hero on the tavern, you're searching the old tavern, looking around for something good. If you see something in passive, you're more bullish about it. But if you see something in active, you're like, I don't need it.
If I see something at a price point that I am interested in, and that hero has an advanced in the passive slot, I'm much more likely to click. I was gonna say pull the trigger, but click the button in that situation than I am if it's an active. If it's an advanced ability in the active role, I would need to look more closely at what's the hero's class. Does it align with what I think would be good? Whereas I think a passive, I'm gonna look at it and be like, I love it if it's the right price, you know. And I'll get into why I think that. I have very specific opinions on why I think that, and I'll get into it. But let's just overarching here. They showed us what all the actives are, and they showed us what all the passives are. What are you guys' thoughts? Just initial thoughts here, looking at these active and passive lists.
So the fact that these actives will not need mana makes it really interesting in the sense of like, I'm really struggling to try to figure out like critical aims should be good for archers and days should be good for a ninja. But is there any hero that I'm going to be upset that has an extra days or an extra critical aim move? Like I'm really struggling trying to figure out like, do I even care what heroes have each move, or do I just want better moves for all my heroes?
That's something they talked about is like these are going to be beneficial for everybody no matter what, you know. But I think there are some that I think would line up poorly, you know.
Definitely.
Before you get into that I think will line up amazingly.
Before you get into the specifics of them, because we want to go through a lot of these.
Yeah.
Going off what Guy said, the idea of it being able to be used once and not taking any mana, I'm thinking of it as an item. Like it's like an item I'm bringing to battle. I have one of them. That's how I'm kind of internalizing it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I like that.
Well, and then again, something they said is if you have the same one, you can do it twice. You can do it twice for active, and then they didn't quite say 100%, but it sounds like if it's passive, not that it's doubled, but the effect is increased. If it's the same, you know, if it's two basics or basic twos or two basic threes, you know. Right. So I want to get into why I'm so bullish on passive versus active. So you guys did a stream on Wednesday, I believe, right? Or Tuesday?
Who the hell knows?
Whatever. It was the Fight Club finals, and you had.
That was Tuesday?
I think it was Wednesday. No, okay. Tuesday. Whatever. You had Bob Nothing on, and Bob brought up a really interesting point about action economy. And so this has been clarified a little bit by Workhorse on the PvP Discord channel. They said that. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. That every hero will get an action on their turn, where they'll be able to take. I think the way he described it was like a hero action, and there's 6 hero actions, so 3v3 per round. These active abilities, hypothetically, are going to be something that the heroes are going to do in their turn. Now, we don't know for sure how that's going to break down. We don't know if it's attack and skill, attack and item, skill and item. We don't know how that turn is going to look or what actions you can take as a hero, but we do know that these active abilities are going to require a active move. I know I'm being redundant there when I say that. They're going to require a turn to be done for them to be triggered. Okay, in which case they might be filling in for, say, an attack or filling in for another skill that you might have used in that turn. That being said, the passive abilities are bonuses and boosts to your heroes that are automatically triggered as soon as you go into the battle. They are just, plus 10% to whatever skill or whatever. You're going to have those automatically no matter what. Whether it's a buff to your team, your individual hero, or a negative to the other team, those happen automatically as passive abilities. So going back to something we brought up earlier, Pokemon. When you're playing red and blue Pokemon, you get 4 slots for your moves. what are you picking? You're picking 4 attack moves because you want to always be attacking. That was the best strategy for a lot of that game. And so why would you want to waste a slot potentially here for an ability that would take up a slot for your attack or something like that? I think the active abilities, while they might be awesome and they might be beneficial, they just by nature are going to take the spot of another opportunity for your hero to do a skill or something like that. Whereas the passives automatically happen. So that's why I'm so bullish on the passive ones, because they're free, like they just are automatically, your heroes have them and are going to be boosted by them, especially those higher ones that look like they're going to do some really cool things. Like that second life, the Transcendent, looks like your hero's just going to wake up after he dies and he's back alive. And that's awesome. Versus the Transcendent was Resurrection. Your hero is going to have to do that spell. So your hero has to spend a turn doing it, and at the same time also has to live long enough to be able to cast it. So there's just so much that, like, I'm so bullish on the passive abilities.
Counter?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Passive abilities are predictable because you know exactly when they trigger. So
you don't know that it doesn't matter. What do you mean?
So if we know that a passive ability triggers at 20%, and you're on the other side of the game, and you know they have passive ability A, B, and C, you can strategize around knowing when those passive abilities trigger.
I guess, hypothetically.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
You have less kind of, and I agree with Maddie on the whole, and the idea of like an action economy, and it's taking up the spot of something else that you can use on that turn. Right. I agree with all that, but there is something to be said for the idea it's something that you can use and your opponent doesn't know when it's coming, whereas the passive, they know what they're kind of going in with, so they're not going to waste a turn on, say, I don't know, are these the passives, right?
Oh, yeah, we're looking at the passives now.
They might change the way that they're playing the end game if you have Duelist. They don't want to be in a one-on-one situation. They kind of know what's there. There is value to that.
I think that's true, but I mean, like, Guy, I think it's hard, especially like, say, leadership. Let's say leadership is your allies.
So leadership will be a team buff. There's no.
That's what I mean. Your allies get plus 10% attack. I mean, yes, you're right. That's a known thing, but like, there's not really a counter. You know what I mean? Like, unless
maybe the counter is you concentrate the leadership player down first.
Exactly. Which, I mean, sure, because I would think you'd bring in, if you're going to have leadership on somebody, it would be a tank. But I mean, I don't know.
Have any of us matched our advanced 1 to tank heroes at this point?
I've been looking at that very.
Yeah, I have leadership on a paladin.
Yeah.
pre abilities being released though. You know what I mean? It was just advanced 1 for forever.
Oh, I know. That's what I mean.
You're saying,
I went through my.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously now that we know leadership is advanced 1, yeah, we try to pair those up more with tankier players.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, and that I think that's kind of a key thing, right? Before this, it was get me as many advanced as possible, get me as many elites as possible. Now, having what's Hardened Shield? Is that an active ability?
Active.
Should be an active.
Sure. Advanced 4 Hardened Shield. I don't necessarily want that on a wizard or a priest or someone like that. Sure, it's going to improve their endurance, probably. So it's not a negative. But now I'm using a turn on that, and it's already not something that has that kind of confluence. I think there are a lot of situations where having four basics will be better than having 2 or maybe even 3 advanced if it's really not the right confluence.
I agree 100%. I think, especially for a squishier hero, having a move that boosts your defense and it's wasting a turn, hypothetically, well,
I think
wasting is a strong word, but
counterpoint again. I think it can make for some interesting combinations if you've got, rather than your traditional tank DPS healer slot, you've got 3 DPS heroes that maybe all have Hardened Shield.
See, all right,
and each of those DPS heroes can survive a little longer.
That's interesting. I mean, you're talking about like all your Dark Knights have this, or all your archers. You have
literally three summoners. Yeah. I've got an Agi team that I'm thinking of. It's 2 summoners and a ninja, and with that combination, if every single one of them has Hardened Shield, I'm good with that.
Again, though, that team is about speed and dealing damage.
Well,
you're going to waste a turn doing a Hardened Shield.
Stop saying waste. No, and I think what Guy's saying, there's some some merit there, because these the way that we all think about these abilities is to buff those things that you're already good at, right? To give you that min-max kind of feel. But they also could be used, depending on what they actually do, to kind of fill in gaps where you don't have it. He's talking about an Agi team that does not have much girth to it, much beef, right? So things like this, I mean, that kind of goes counter to what usually wins in these kind of games, but there could be merit there.
Right. Or like, I'm also looking at the exhaust and the days. It would be really cool if my all DPS team, all of them have days as well, where it could be like a very crowd controlling team as well. I don't know if anyone ever ran like the double rogue WoW team or the double feral druid team as well in WoW PvP days, but like something like that would be interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about, because Vin and I were, oh boy, did I just say that? Franz and I were talking about it earlier, and we're going to talk about some of the keywords, because we think exhaust and daze, and something with fear.
Yeah, I got a list
there
here.
are definite keywords that are out there that some of these abilities are referring to, and I think it will be interesting if they play out the way we think they do. There could be some interesting moves here.
Well, let's just go through. Maddie, you just go through them at a fair pace based on like Poison Blade. Like, I think we can go pretty quick on that one. We'll stop you if there's any that.
Yeah.
Don't go too fast.
All right. And again, so this is a quick for Poison Blade, and also I think for Blinding Winds. I think this will be very interesting. Going back to my action economy problem, if these say something like add poison to your next attack and then attack that round, I think that could be very interesting. And if you had it, you know what I mean, where it's not necessarily poison your blade this round and then it doesn't take effect till the next round. I think if it worked that round, then perhaps it could avoid some of those action economy problems that I was talking about.
But also, I mean, Workhorse and Second Best Dad and Hubert, they're all probably aware of the action economy as well.
100%.
You know, it could scale accordingly, where passives aren't as effective because it's not as much kind of equity to use them.
I know. I'm sure they're having these same discussions, and I hope they're as passionate as I am about like why I think passives are going to be way more, beneficial to your heroes. But yeah, all right. Blinding Winds. Yeah, I like this suggestion from.
Wait. Go back to Poison Blade.
All right, Poison Blade. Yeah.
So I think we can all agree adds poison, right?
Sure.
Definitely, probably better for melee heroes, right?
Well, unless it applied to like an arrow, like a ranged attack.
Poison Archer would be interesting.
Sure. All right. So I don't mean melee. I should have said
physical. Yeah.
The worst thing you can have Poison Blade with is on a priest.
Exactly.
Right. You're never using that attack, so it's not helpful. That's one that's going to probably stay in your holster the whole match.
Yeah. Blinding Winds. So one thing we're going to talk about later, blind is definitely a keyword that is going to be in the game, which is why I think Umphreek's comment was very. We can't both click on at the same time. Okay?
That was me.
All right.
I'm still in guest mode.
No, but
really?
I think Umphreek is right and wrong. Right.
Excuse
me. I think he's wrong and right at the same time.
How's that possible?
I know. It's crazy. No, but I think it's going to give the blind effect. But like, what do we think the blind effect does?
Right, and we were going to talk about this later, but I think it'll be a.
Why are we talking about all these things later? Can I talk about it now?
I mean, we can talk about it now.
Pushing us off.
But I think the blind will be your opponent's next attack is either 50-50 or even maybe like a 1 in 4.
I agree.
Because he's swinging blindly, Yep.
1 in 4 seems low, but sure.
I mean, blind,
and it may be something that stays into effect for 3
better.
times.
Better bring those anti-blind potions. They're not just for making stones anymore.
I am also curious. How long do you guys think a match will be?
That's
I don't know. So there's something we're talking about later, but they mention in some of the Berserker stuff P1 and P2, which I have to assume are position 1 and position 2. So it seems like there's a stack of like the three heroes.
Wait, PvP is going to be 3v3? What?
Well, no, I know, but just in general, I'm saying it seems like it's going to be like position 1, position 2, position 3 versus position 1 versus something where I think if it was a chessboard where it was like open, I think that kind of battle would take much longer. When it's 1 2 3 versus 1 2 3, I think it's much more straightforward because you're just attacking. You know what I mean?
I think 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be shorter.
I don't think quite as long as like a League of Legends game, but not as short as like a Clash of Clans game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would be surprised to see if they're 20 minutes. I think they'll be
I think they'll be Hearthstone or Gods Unchained kind of,
I wouldn't be surprised if there's things in PvE or maybe even PvP that are some kind of like endurance ladder that you need to play multiple matches. That it's like to do a certain thing in PvE might take you half an hour or an hour, but it's going to be 5 or 6 matches.
Yeah. And it's like your same team carries over and has to survive all of rounds,
Another one from Umfreak here. So wondering about dexterity, agility factoring into accuracy or chance to hit. So they did mention that the stats themselves and what's in the docs is staying mostly the same, but there are going to be some tweaks, some changes. And the one that Hubert called out was that dexterity is going to be accuracy. Or more about accuracy now. I'm sure it's still going to have like a using weapons when we get to equipment type of feel to it, but
and ranged. I mean, D&D dexterity is classically what determines your range attack ability.
So, right, accuracy,
okay.
Which stat for evasion? What do you guys think?
Agility. Almost exclusively, I think.
Luck.
So maybe I'm kind of struggling. Maybe like some luck. I've got a ninja that has 41 agility, and I'm like, do I just stop leveling agility at this point? Like, is agility going to get some kind of like capped return? Because so 2 things for agility: evasion and then turn. Right. So it's like if my ninja's going first, why do I care about continuing to grow agility? Unless evasion.
How first can you go?
Correct.
Well, that's. I mean, I think the evasion part of it is definitely a big, driver there. And Workhorse semi confirmed that on Twitter. We were talking about this, and he replied with a GIF that said, "This guy gets it." After we were talking about evasion being agility, right? But also, I don't want to kind of overlook the importance of going first in a 6-person or 6-hero match. It is huge.
Especially and I would love a ninja with a stun or a daze attached to it too, that I can just have my first move out of the gates without controlling move as well.
Oh, I like that a lot. And ninjas I think they're gonna have some magical kind of some good spells, right? Because their intelligence is 50-50 roll. It's not as low as some of the other melee heroes.
Yeah. I'm also curious too if it's literally just one thing per turn. Like if I use stun for my ninja's move, is that literally all that he's doing and he's not causing any damage?
Right, but we'll talk about it. I think stun is going to be one of the strongest.
It's an elite skill.
Effects. I think it's basically lose a turn.
Yeah.
For your opponent.
I think so too.
But if you're a ninja or if you're a hero and you use stun, and the other hero loses a turn, didn't you theoretically just lose your turn anyways too?
Well, hopefully it's for the next turn too.
Yeah, it should be kind of a double type thing.
And if you can do it first.
Because then it's the idea of what you were just saying about going first. That could almost play against you. There could be times where you'd want to go last on that.
Well, that's, a very cool thing in Dungeons & Dragons is you can, you tell the DM, like, all right, it's your turn. You go like, I wait. And you sit there and wait for the other guy to attack first, and then you go with your thing, if it's a counter especially.
Yeah.
But that would be, I don't know if the game could ever actually do that, but that would be very interesting is if you have a stun move that you hold till the end of the round. Oh, that'd be really cool. I don't know if you could do that, though.
When you say I don't know if you could do that, I mean, they can build it however. You mean you don't know if they're going to do it that way, right?
Yeah, that's just not traditionally how, especially like Final Fantasy turn-based stuff. That's traditionally you can't move. Once your order is set, you kind of can't change that,
Got it.
And I don't think they would mess with that because it would get complicated.
I like Dare's point too, and I really hope that's the case.
What's Dare's point? Do you really don't have the ability to pull things up?
No, I'm a guest and streamer.
Why don't you have status? You should be an admin.
Just hanging out.
I think
I'm along for the ride.
Just hanging out. Wait, but there's basic damage and basic attack damage. I wonder if it would work like Fight Club skill plus basic attack. Attack.
Again, we were going to talk about that later. Maybe we should have reorganized this whole pod.
Stop saying later.
But in some of the Berserker skills, they talk about a basic attack. And I think that's one big question we have right now that we can't really answer, Dare O Evil, because right now it says basic attack in there, but we don't know if it means use a skill and do a basic attack, use an item and do a basic attack, or just basic attack is your whole turn.
I don't think so.
Use an item is your whole turn. You know, we don't know that yet, so it's very hard to say, you know, definitively, like, you know, what's better to do. Is it better to base attack or do a skill? You know, we don't know that, or if you can do it in the same turn. You know? While we do love wild speculation, I think that one's way out of. We just don't know right now. You know,
I could say with confidence that it'll be one thing per turn, and the attack will be one thing.
Wow.
So take that wild speculation and smoke it.
Wow. All right. Well, let's go to the next one. Basic 3 is heal. And I do want to bring up a comment from like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm going to be scrolling up and pulling comments. There were a few things that people were saying.
Yeah, so I think it was Bob Nothing. Yeah. So heal is going to be interesting if it doesn't have a scalability to your hero's level, which I think it has to have built in.
Must.
Because some of these are going to be, if it's like heal 10 hit points, that might be huge at level 1. You know, that might save the day, but like later on in the game, that's going to be so useless, you know?
Well wait. So, and now we are skipping ahead to something that we're going to talk about later, but we're going to go over the Berserker skill tree.
Yeah.
And all of the effects listed there are percentage based. All of them talk about percentage. So I would kind of, you know, assume that these are all percentage based as well.
Right. Right, but just this one, back to, you know, our kind of general run through here. Heal, obviously, I think we all know. Well, actually, we don't.
Increase hit points has got to be what it is.
Yeah, but is it for yourself or an ally?
I think it'll be a choice.
I think it's going to be just yourself.
I think it's going to be just yourself as well.
I think a choice would be more of an advanced type.
Wouldn't that be self-heal?
I mean,
if you only have one,
and it's also something we talked about, or Guy, you missed our pre-episode meeting that, you know, we scheduled and you blew it off. But a lot of this stuff, I love Workhorse, and I think he's doing an amazing job, but these are his notes, you know? And we don't know if this is like officially what is written into the code of the game. This is just kind of what he's been working on.
Well,
so
wait,
this could have been his personal shorthand,
us.
Though. I mean, you know what I mean?
This is what he showed us, though.
I mean, I know this is what he showed us, but like, you know, he might have a term for self-heal and for like group heal that he's like using shorthand here, you know, that heal means group heal or heal means X, Y, and Z, you know?
Okay. Either way, it's heal.
Yeah.
To me, the first reaction, and I think this has probably been said by a lot of people, so nothing groundbreaking, but at first I was like, oh, I want that on a priest, I want that on a sage. But they're going to have their own heals, and you would think their heals, they're going to have at least one or two options that's a low mana, kind of
quick
early levels. So I feel like it's a little redundant.
Yeah.
I'd rather that on a warrior, on a hero that doesn't have a chance to heal often.
Like either a DPS or a tank that can use it as a quick boost that otherwise doesn't have access to healing, you know?
Good comment. Word percentage base is too easy.
Isn't a percentage based of your stats, though, and not necessarily of, like, hit points? Maybe we'll get there when we look at the Berserker tree. Well, I want to say it's based off of your stats.
Also, I'm assuming this is Raph. And
a lot of them were.
I don't know, actually, which one of them has control. They probably both have control of it. But Raph, I would counter that and say your rarity and stats, like, there's a built-in, you know, the built-in bonuses to rarity boost the stats, so then the percentages is going to be...
That scales itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I think it's built into the...
A lot of the percentage changes were based on the stats. It was, and again,
not like percentage of hit points or percentage.
Right, it was like percentage based on the amount of strength you had. We were looking at the Berserker, obviously. A lot of them were strength, endurance, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about Cleanse?
Right, let's keep going. Cleanse has got to be a status removal, you know, heal yourself of blinding or whatever.
Remove
I think it's
that
a great
poison,
one.
remove that daze, remove whatever.
Yep.
Is it all? Is it going to be all?
I think it's going to be all.
So if I have buffs on there too, is there going to be kind of a...
I don't know.
You know,
I'd
a
say
downside to this?
Remove negative effects on target hero.
Based on the way Workhorse kind of talks about this stuff, I think he wants to give you that choice and like make it a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Because he was saying he wanted things to be like some abilities to be bad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to be like, I could take off that poison, but I'm also going to take off, I don't know,
a
boosted
buff,
speed, right?
Plus to my strength. Yeah.
If I have basic 6 and I already used it, and then I use my basic 4 cleanse, might it take off that speed?
That's interesting. It also could be...
could say remove enemy effects.
Enemy effects, yeah.
Could.
Or something to the effect of, physical... If it was a physical thing done to you, like a...
like a bleed?
Yeah, or the poison and stuff like that versus, say, the mental effects of daze, where that wasn't a physical thing done to you, it was a mental thing, I don't know if they'll make that distinction, but,
That'd be cool.
I think cleanse, similar to blinding winds, is kind of universal. I can't think of a class I wouldn't want that on.
Yeah.
Iron skin.
Well, I would only say is that I think it'd be better for a tank.
Because they might not have those skills, or like wizards might have this kind of effect in their skill tree.
A counter, they might have a counter spell, Yeah. And also too, I think if you have a tank who's supposed to be your guy who's taking all the hits, and something fucks him up that he can't take all the hits, this is a good way to wipe the slate clean and get back to taking hits. 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 Okay. Next one is basic 5 iron skin. I think this is pretty straightforward. Just get bonus defense. I mean,
Hardened Shield Light.
Yeah.
The basic version of Hardened Shield.
Plus to your AC for all the D&D heads out there. I think that one's pretty straightforward. I think it's, again, great for tanks, great for DPS. I don't know how good it would be for a caster in the back, or like especially like an archer who's in the back, like shooting arrows. Words.
There are always going to be situations where it might come in handy, but yeah, agreed. Speed, what do you think that one does?
I mean, this goes back to guys' agility conversation. I mean, do your fast guys need to get faster?
I think this is going to be an agi buff,
right? But like, there's a point where it's unnecessary, Yeah,
again, but you're talking about speed just in context of ability to act or order of actions. Sure. If it plays into the evasion formula and is heavily weighted in the evasion formula, then it has its value.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're not going to be able to hit those guys.
But also adding speed onto a low hero or onto like a caster that you want them to be able to, the next couple turns, get their cast off first.
Yeah. Also, too, I think it's interesting on... I'm
just going to keep pulling up comments that agree with me.
I lost my game plan, but I had something very cool to say, and I forgot.
I'm sure it was
great. Let's go to the next one, critical aim. What do you think that does?
Obviously, they talked about dexterity being accuracy, so I would assume this is some sort of accuracy boost, or on the flip side, I actually don't think we've seen this at all of like critical hit chance. I don't think we've seen that as a potential like keyword kind of thing, but Berserker would not. Berserker would not be somebody who has critical hit bonuses.
Why not?
Because he's wildly swinging. He's not a precise guy. That's the whole point of like critical hit is like you're precise,
But I'm saying it's in there.
Is it? Oh wait, is there something in the Berserker that's? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to it later. Okay, later in the show. Later.
So all right, so there are critical hits. Like that is a part of the game.
Yeah, so I think critical aim.
Is that a question?
I mean, I assume
Maddie.
So, but like,
Maddie.
you don't know.
All right.
So critical aim, I think, improves your critical chance, whereas death mark, I think you mark an opposing hero to increase critical chance against that opposing hero. That would be a team-wide buff rather than a buff for just yourself.
I agree with you on death mark. I don't agree with you on critical aim. I guess, and now that you're kind of saying it, yeah, the word critical being in there seems, by design. But I was focusing more on aim.
I was too.
I'm thinking this was
started talking about it.
A dex buff or something like that. But yeah, I guess that could go either way, right?
I think, my only problem with that is that that makes Deathmark seem very OP for a basic.
But what if critical aim increases your crit chance by 10% and death mark increases the team crit chance by 3%?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the numbers could be lower. And
there's a way to balance it.
Yeah. You make one AoE and one specific, and so therefore, yeah. No, all right, yeah. I like that, especially 7 and 8 kind of being the flip side of the same thing. All right, so then let's jump down here. This is where it gets exciting. Advanced one being exhaust. Okay, so as we'll see in the what are we looking at? Every arrow has a crit chance. Then that move's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a high luck archer.
Yeah. Well, and assuming luck is part of critical hit chance.
Well,
I mean,
come on.
I think that's a fair.
What else is happening on this UI, by the way? There's a lot.
I can't. I wasn't able to read any of those things.
This down here, the second one in, definitely looks like a mana potion.
Yep, I
agree.
It
doesn't look like the mana potion.
Too? Can you eat something to increase your hit points
or health? Yeah,
maybe. But it doesn't look like the mana potion that we have, right? That doesn't look like the mana vial.
You're gonna make me go to the alchemist.
I mean, I don't.
It doesn't.
I mean, while I'm sure you're right.
examples.
I'm sure you're right, but I don't think these could just be placeholders. Again, I go back to my statement of this is just what they've shown. This isn't anything official,
All right, back to what you guys were doing.
Sorry about exhaust. As we'll see in the berserker skill tree, exhaust is definitely a keyword that means some sort of stress on a hero in terms of either limited strength, limited movement. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be a debuff.
So maybe someone in chat can help. I thought they said that exhaust. I thought it said it somewhere that it's going to be half damage and half speed the following turn, the exhausted turn. I can't find it anywhere.
I feel like I heard that too.
I mean, that makes sense.
I don't think I'm good enough at video games to just come up with that on my own. I must. So.
I mean, that's similar to the D&D kind of thing of exhaustion. There's kind of in D&D, there's multiple levels of exhaustion that are increased things like that. They debuff a bunch of your abilities as you get more and more exhaustion. I don't think there's going to be a stacking exhaustion in this game, but that would make sense just in general.
Okay, so Effects is saying that might have been in PvP discussion, and that's how it works in League.
Interesting.
And we know Workhorse loves his League. So.
Yeah, they're big Riot heads. It seems like everybody on the team is.
Is that an actual phrase? Riot heads?
No, I made that up.
Like Riot? Okay, just making sure.
Next up, we got Days, and we've speculated now that this is kind of a confusion. This is something I think, Franz, you said this at the last podcast you guys did, and that makes sense for Days, especially compared to Stun. We're going to see later. I think Stun is a complete. You're done for the round. Whereas I think Days is just confusing them. Whereas they don't miss their attack or something like that.
In Pokemon and others, didn't you have a chance of hitting your own teammate?
Yes, I think Days will do that. Or it will either be you miss completely, you hit yourself, or you hit an opponent. Or you hit an ally. Sorry, I think it'll be one of those three. I don't know.
I think it'd be cool if there are 5 other people on the board. It could, it has a 20% chance of hitting each of those 5.
Yeah.
Rather than the one that
Just
you
the
selected.
Opponent.
Right. And especially that would be wild if your opponent had 3. It was a 3v1. You had one guy left, and you dazed one guy. Now there's better odds that he'll hit an ally than he'll hit you.
Yeah, I guess 1/6, not 1/5, because the idea of hitting yourself is
if you're part
viable.
of it, it's interesting. All right, explosion. Now
somebody
this
said something about this.
If you had double explosion.
Yeah, there was a question about double explosion.
Lottery Binance.
Which these are individual moves that you do. I think you have 2 chances to do explosion if you have 2 advanced 3 in your 2 active slots. Does that make sense?
It might do something rather than kill yourself, it might do 20% of damage or something.
No. I'm saying if you have 2 instances of advanced 3 in your active 1 and your active 2, you have 2 chances to cast explosion. I don't think it will stack into 1 super explosion.
Agreed. No.
But so, do you think explosion will kill yourself?
And that's the thing. That's where it becomes very interesting. Is if explosion kills you, now how dumb is it to have a hero with 2 advanced 3 in your active slots? Because you're never going to be able to use both of them hypothetically if it kills you on casting. And if you have 2 of it,
I think it'll be like 20% of your total hit points or something.
Yeah, I don't think it'll kill you outright. I think that's too crazy. We lost Franz.
He'll be back.
I think it will do a stupid amount of damage, and then will also damage you.
Correct.
Maybe to death, maybe not to death. And then, because I think that's a good point, is if you have 2 of them, this again goes back to that action economy problem that I have of why passives I think are significantly better. But let's just keep going because we're already kind of getting behind here. Hardened Shield, I think again, just giving you a huge boost to your defense.
Better version of Iron Skin.
Yeah. Although just interesting, will it be physical versus magic? Who knows? Or maybe both. Maybe it'll apply to both.
Yeah, I'm curious. Well, so didn't Workhorse say there would be different types of damage?
Right. Yeah. And again, if you went to the pre-meeting, Franz and I talked about this. I almost did it again. Franz and I talked about this where there's very clearly physical damage and magic damage are 2 different categories that are 100% keywords. So
yeah, so I'm wondering if Hardened Shield will only decrease physical damage.
Yeah.
Well, so going off of that, Maddie, do we want to go into what we were talking about basic attacks and the idea of they say basic attack damage versus a physical damage magic?
Yeah. Let's get through these quickly because I do want to go through all these.
Okay, got it.
Elite 1, stun. I think stun is going to be a very powerful move, and it's going to completely. That's a good idea.
I want to go back to explosion.
Okay, go back to explosion then.
So yeah, we're all thinking it's an actual like a bomb, like kaboom explosion.
Sure.
Might not be. It might be, and I feel like a few of these kind of line up where they're opposites right behind each other if we're right, like critical aim, death mark, things like that. So like maybe explosion is the opposite of exhaust.
Oh, so it's like an energy explosion, like an energy boost.
Right. I mean, it could be.
That's kind of interesting.
I can see that happening.
I don't hate that.
I don't either.
Because I feel like they would run into that issue. If it is a kill yourself and deal damage, they would run into that issue that we were just discussing of what if it's kill yourself, you can't do it twice, and then people who have 2 are going to feel screwed, things like that. I don't know.
Interesting.
He was about to tell us that one, too, and he stopped himself.
Yeah, he hesitated on
that. That felt planned.
Yeah.
That was
good. It was a bit, for sure. Or Franz, any comments on Hardened Shield? Do you think it might be exclusively for physical damage? Or would it be a universal shield to any damage dealt, you know?
Because it's the advanced.
That's right, that's what I'm thinking.
Iron Skin maybe is just physical damage. Mm-hmm. And Hardened Shield is both, or just basic attack?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of like, like in Halo, you drop the bubble, and the bubble blocks everything.
Halo?
You know?
Of all the game references... You're going to pull Fortnite up next?
Everywhere,
it's like when you build a wall in Fortnite in front of you.
Divine Shield, in a lot of games, same thing of like, it's a bubble. No matter what, it dies, but it could take any hit no matter what it is, but it dies immediately, you know?
Could be.
All right. Anyways,
stun we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, I think you lose your turn. I think it's a very powerful move. It's an elite level. It would have to be something like that. You lose your move, or you lose the ability to move. Or maybe you lose the ability to like do basic attacks or something like that for a round or 2. I would hope it's that. When we get into these elites and the transcendents, I really hope that they're very impressive. You know, because while I do think some of these basics are going to be really cool to add to your heroes, I'll be very disappointed if the basics are better moves than the elite. You know.
Yeah, I think they're all going to be very close. I think advanced are going to be better, but not in a way that you're like, oh my god, I need an advanced right now. And I think that's them kind of covering for the fact that this information's not super easily accessible. And a few people know about all of the advanced, and others are like, what do you mean they're genes? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, what about second wind? I think this is a little ambiguous and could go multiple ways.
So I disagree with you, and I think everybody who plays D&D will also disagree with you. Second wind is like one of the most famous abilities in D&D.
They're not going to copy it word for word.
I mean,
so you just made my point.
I guess not, but I mean, second wind in D&D is a fighter ability that you get at level 2. That's quite simply, whatever you just did, you now can do it again. You know, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, and I know people will get mad at me because I'm not giving the exact definition of what it is. But basically, it's like you get a whole nother turn, you get a whole nother action of what you just did, in which I think that would be an elite level ability for me. I think that's a strong move in this game, hypothetically.
So wait, I stopped listening to you. So you think it's going to be do your move again?
Yeah.
So
basically double up your.
Sure. Is that going to take mana again?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Thanks. I thought it was a good question too.
So it also is interesting of like, if you use second wind, does it then? When does that second attack happen?
What if second wind is? I kind of stopped right when I was thinking about. I was gonna say, gives you kind of like a last stand type or a resurrection type.
Well, that's very interesting, especially because I think the elite passive is called last stand. So I think very similarly, I agree, Sergeant. I think everybody. That's why everyone loves second wind, is because like at low levels you dominate with it, because it's like, as a fighter, you know, a level 1 bad guy in D&D is like a, you know, frog monster, and 2 attacks kill it. So if you can attack once, get a second win, and then do it, you win. That's it, you know. But I think it'd be interesting here because we don't know what the turns will look like and what you can do in a turn. And so if you do second wind, what turn is it going to repeat, or when are you going to get that bonus? You know, is it going to be that turn, or is it going to be next turn, or is it going to be repeat your previous turn? You know, like there's a lot of questions in that we don't know.
Yeah, it could be do one ability twice. It could be you move a second time. I think it could easily be you move a second time, like you have a totally separate second turn that maybe takes place after everyone has gone, so that it's not like speed people or
right,
speed
but did
heroes.
you get when was your first turn?
At your normal cadence, right? So like,
right, no,
say
but
I have a ninja and I go first. I'm gonna use. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You have to trigger this move. Yeah.
It's got to be
right. And we don't know how that's gonna play out, but like maybe you click on second wind and then it gives you that same options of like fight or attack. You know what I mean? We don't know what the UI will look like, but it's going to be difficult to kind of manage that, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be some sort of like double up your action move, you know? All right. Here we go. This is it. The Transcendent. Resurrection.
This is it.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to say the obvious. It's bring back to life another hero who's died. Now, key questions here. Is it to 100% full health? Because that's insane. But also, it's a Transcendent, so I get it. It needs to be insane.
I don't think it could be that OP. I think it's 50% health.
Bring him back at 50%.
Because the higher levels, I think it's something that might be balanced a few times.
Sure, they might need to adjust it, because I want it to be so scary and impressive. I want it to be the full 100%, you know, and I do think that's OP, but also that's the whole point of Transcendence, you know? This is so hard to get, you know, this one skill is there's only how many heroes in the game that have it, you know?
I thought you were going to just guess a number there.
No, I don't know.
There are only 37 heroes.
Yeah,
that just totally
I mean, I think it's like under 300, right?
I think it's hard for people to kind of like find that number. Maybe Neindorf can, but I think because of all the tainted abilities, it's hard to like kind of catalog right now. Because the tainted ones show up and those aren't real.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Oh.
Clicking the same thing again.
Okay. So I think it's resurrect an ally.
I agree.
I don't know how it could be resurrect self.
Because of Second Life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you cast Resurrection on yourself. How long does that last? Is that the rest of the game? You know? Like, whenever you die, you get resurrected if you cast it on yourself.
Like, I don't think you're going to be able to resurrect yourself.
Exactly. Like, you would cast it. It would be the first thing you cast every single game immediately. You know what I mean? Like, if that's how it worked.
You're saying if it was like a hold off to when you die.
Exactly.
Like you just have to
I think it has to be resurrect a friend.
Yeah.
Resurrect an ally. I think that has to be what it is.
And if anyone wasn't watching on the bottom of the screen, apparently Starbuck has a list of everyone's transcendent abilities, which doesn't surprise me. And I gotta say, I love that guy. It's so funny. But yeah, under 50 apparently. That's crazy. Like, how many dreads are out there? A lot more than that.
No, yeah, there's a couple hundred dreads. Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, I see there's a lot of comments talking about, 50% and, stuff like that. But I think it'd be wild if it was bring them back to life 100%. It'd
be wild. We'd have to see how it. I think this is going to be balanced a lot.
I mean, imagine, and I know this exists. A Dread Knight with a transcendent ability does exist. Like, I
think so.
He
yeah,
would win every time.
But is it the passive transcendent or is it the active transcendent?
I know.
Yeah, you'd want passive.
I think you'd want passive on the Dread.
Yeah. All right. Also, I just want to note
passive
on this.
abilities.
I note on this: if you die before you can cast it, I think you're out of luck.
If you die in the metaverse, do you die in real life?
I'm moving on.
Okay.
They told us, Workhorse told us what Duelist does. If it's down to 1v1, you get a bonus, which I love. I think that's great. Clutch, I have to imagine that's either critical hit chance or some sort of, like, good luck move.
So I think it was Sandwich and Baby Punch on the Inner Grove. Go check them out if you haven't. But I think they said, what if Clutch is the opposite of Duelist? So if you're one-on-one, instead of gaining more attack, you gain more defense, and you kind of can stay alive longer.
Okay. Or I was thinking, like, if you're outnumbered.
I think Clutch, it could be, and they might have said this too, actually. I might just be stealing a lot of thoughts from them.
Sure.
It might be an increased crit hit damage, because that's a Clutch
thing. I could see it being an
crit.
Increased crit hit damage, or like, if opposing heroes under X% health, you do more damage. Like kind of like a closure type thing.
Yeah. Or if you're under X%, because isn't that more Clutch, like games on the line type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Or if it's like the 9th inning, you like do better.
Yes.
Okay, so basic 3 is Foresight. Got to be something like predict a move. Predict a move that's coming in on you, and then so therefore you get increased defense on that move.
Increased evasion, yep.
Increased evasion, yeah.
Evasion, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go quicker because we're kind of behind here, but Headstrong, he said what this was, didn't he? No.
I don't think he said Headstrong, and this is one that I think is one of the more ambiguous ones.
Yeah, I don't know what this one is.
Maybe like a increased strength, decrease endurance. Like you're headstrong, you're rushing in. Headstrong to take you on.
I love that song.
That's a song.
All right. Did you say, oh, that's a song? Yeah, nice.
Headstrong, I think maybe, something like that along those lines of like charge into battle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one we don't know on.
Can take more damage, but less defensive ability, All right. Clear vision. I think this one has to do with dexterity and accuracy. I mean, I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Can't be blinded.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe.
Right? I do think that's in theme. It's in theme with these other ones. Think of Fearless, think of Chatterbox, think of these other things.
Not can't be blinded. I should.
But like stronger resistance to.
More resistance because we're skipping ahead, but with Chatterbox, he didn't say can't be silenced. He said
better to
Right, less chance of being silenced.
Yeah.
All
right.
What's up,
Fearless? Okay.
Mythic Squad in the house. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Fearless. fear is definitely, terrify is a move.
That's a keyword.
Berserker has. So fear is going to either fear or terrify or some version of that is going to be a keyword. Fearless will clearly be some sort of resistance to that. And yeah, fear is gonna be some sort of aspect of the game, and I don't know, especially with a little bit later down we have intimidation. I think there's gonna be something involving, and that'll affect your ability. If you're scared or you're terrified or you have fear, it's gonna lower your damage or something like that.
Well, so can we talk about those in kind of together? Fearless and intimidation.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I think the level of intimidation being an advanced and fearless being a basic, they can't cancel out.
No, I agree.
Intimidation has to, like, if someone casts fearless and then someone casts intimidation on them.
Okay, slow down. There's no casting of these.
They're passive.
All right,
these are all passive. So.
Oh, passive. I thought you were giving me shit for saying.
No. Yeah, I think you're making a really good point, but like these aren't. I think I think the point of if you have a hero who has intimidation up against a hero who has fearless, I would hope the hero with intimidation has a slight advantage. If it's a fear-based check or whatever,
Right, and it's probably going to be better chance of fear on like an attack, right? It's passive, but it can't just be, make everyone afraid, right? There has to be some kind of trigger to it.
Any fear-based move you do, if you have intimidation, is like 10 times better or whatever, whatever it might be. But like
add a fear roll to like all of your moves, because
I
feel like it's too specific to say if it's already a fear-based move. What if you get on a priest, which I'm assuming doesn't have fear-based moves already?
Oh, how dare you! Clerics in D&D have tons of moves that are like mess with people's minds and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like Thermatology is such a fun level 0 spell that like you can do a voice. You can control a voice like from behind a wall to scare people. Like what I mean? Like there's a lot of the priests can have stuff like that messes with people. But I understand what you're saying. Like typically fear is going to be the big beefy guys threatening you. That's what you think when
Yeah.
But I don't think that's limited to, I don't think the casters are out of the loop there. I think they could potentially have something.
Yeah, so fair, but I feel like the way that they made all these genes, they kind of erred on the side of everybody has the kind of the ability to do it. Sorry, I was thrown off by Guy's yawn there.
Yeah, that yawn was very
boring
loud.
Him.
That was a very loud yawn.
Yeah, I'm also realizing you've given us feedback because it got very quiet when you muted, but whatever.
I muted out. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Anyway, I totally forgot what I was gonna say there.
Yeah, just saying like certain.
They're more general. I don't think it'll line up with needing to have a fear ability already. You might not have one load for the skill tree.
No, I think that's fair.
Anyway, Chatterbox.
We said, or this was said earlier, it's going to make the person harder to silence, which I actually find that interesting that the silence will be a check, or I call it a check, but like you can't just straight up silence someone. Like there'll be a chance for you to fight back against that potentially. That's at least what it sounds like from his description of Chatterbox. So. That's interesting because I think the silence ability in general, I don't like having a silence ability. In general, it annoys me in games. I think it's frustrating, and I don't think there's any real strategy to it of like, I'm just going to silence you and I win. Like, I don't like that. But if it is more complex, the way it kind of seems like this, maybe it could be interesting.
Yeah. Chatterbox is one of the skills that I've identified as I want that on a specific hero class, and it's on casters. On anyone that has
even my healers more so than casters.
Healers, anything, paladins with their auras, anything like that. Or I want cleanse more than Chatterbox on those. But I want Chatterbox on all my casters. I actually went out today and made a big boy purchase on a mythic summoner.
Oh. Can we pull that up?
Yeah.
I gotta pee, so pull it up and talk about that.
Yeah, I'll just talk about my hero for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Share screen.
So the summoner have abilities? Ooh, you got them pulled up right away.
So it's this guy here. He cost me a pretty penny, but he is 5/5, and I would have bought him even for 0/5. This isn't for summoning, but I mean I'll do it.
Yeah. Right. Maybe rent them out, make your money back.
Yeah, pre-sub, no stone was the downside. That's okay. So I was going for the skills. I was sorting by chatterbox. I wanted mythic casters that had chatterbox.
Yeah.
And then so he also has a daze, which I'm happy with the advanced, and speed, which, as you were talking about before, the idea of having your caster go early, if not first, earlier, and being able to put any buffs or any debuffs on before everyone else moves. And then headstrong, that one might just be, if that is related to strength and endurance and stuff like that, like we maybe think, crit, I don't really care as much about it, unless the crit chance can happen on skills as well, which maybe it can. Then it might make sense, but
solid pickup.
Yeah, but chatterbox is something that I'm looking for on all casters, because once they're silenced, what are you going to do? Even if it's just for like 2 or 3 turns, right? It's not, you're not going to be able to silence someone for a game, but it's those 2-3 turns. If I'm just doing basic attacks, no thanks.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you think heroes will be able to switch out weapons mid-game, or like is your equipment list going to be your equipment list?
Switch out weapons mid-game? I never considered that. Now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
a lot of RPG games. You can have like 2 sets of weapons, so it's like if your priest were to get silenced, of like, can you switch your staff out for a dagger or something like that?
Okay, give him a little more of a boost there.
Something to do with your next turn, so you're not just completely useless.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't thought of that. With equipment, the idea of being able to switch it out, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so, but just something.
I don't either.
As we were thinking through chatterbox silencing, I'm like, I wonder if. But we'll see.
Like an item that blocks all silence or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We have anti-blindness, we have anti-poison, because those are the ones, obviously, right off jump, they were kind of aware of, and we're like, all right, these are effects we're going to need potions for. But they mentioned we're going to have more potions for each of the stats. I would figure we're going to have potions for each of the different effects as well. So I guess and now I think I'm taking this off on a tangent a little bit, but if we were thinking about these abilities as items almost, because there's no mana and there's no and you can only use them once, what is the benefit? I need to see a benefit on these over just an anti-silence potion, assuming they put one of those in the game.
I mean, I don't know if they will.
Maybe they won't.
Maybe that's the matter of it'll be a like good against silence potion. I don't think it'll be a full, you know what I mean?
Right. Something take it off though.
Like if the ability of Chatterbox is plus 50% against when they silence you, the potion will be plus 65%, or something to that effect. And you have to make the choice of like, are you going to use an item, or do you have a hero that has that skill?
Right.
But all of the potions also say for a period of time.
Right.
So it's like if you can only bring so many items into game with you, these abilities are a way for you to have an additional item.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Stalwart. I have no clue on this one.
Defense.
Maybe, but also maybe like pump up your team because you're like you're the rock. I don't know.
What is a stalwart?
It's like a
loyal, reliable, and hardworking.
Yeah. So
I could see that being a team buff.
It could be a team buff, yeah. But I don't know of what. Defense.
Increased team defense by X.
Yeah. Well, that leads very well into the next one, which this is the one I'm most excited about. I think leadership as an advanced one could be the best passive ability here.
Specifically on a paladin?
And specifically on a paladin. I was going to say on a tank, but I think a paladin specifically would be, ideal.
I mean,
because it's going to boost your your whole team. Now, assuming if you die, they lose that boost. I don't know. It might be automatic for the whole battle, but
once leadership's gone, the passive's gone. Yeah, I would say
yeah, but like having it on a tank, having it on a paladin, or even legionnaire potentially, I think would be such a giant boost for your team. And then also too, something they talked about, and we can scroll way back when we were talking about this, of if you have 2 advanced ones, it's going to boost that leadership boost, whatever it is, you know. And I think leadership's going to be like plus 20% damage for everybody on your team. So I think that one's.
I mean, that's a pretty wild shard in the dark, though.
I mean, I think it's going to be a strong bonus for your whole team. You know.
Sure. I saw it as.
What if your entire team has leadership? I think that will stack.
I mean, does it stack? I would assume. I don't know.
See,
although I don't know. Also, I could see that being a fun, like, if you have too many leaders on the same team. Like, I mean,
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly.
No,
yeah.
I saw it as just whatever auras or buffs are present, amplify them.
Sure, I like that too.
And in that case, having multiple, if it's amplify all buffs by 5%, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I kind of like that too. But I think it's clearly something that helps a team overall, and I think having a tank with that, I think that's one of them. I'm most bullish on that right now. I'm looking for that actively. I'll say that.
It wouldn't be a podcast until Pouring came up, so shout out Pouring,
obviously.
Like every app.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think those double leadership, like somebody who has a passive one.
Yeah, it was scary. It was scary. Not quite as scary as Mosh's
that Dragoon, the Mythic Dragoon.
But still scary.
Yeah. All right, advanced 2, efficient. Franz had one on this. What were you saying it was?
Yeah, just less mana for all your spells.
That'd be cool.
You're efficient. You're doing things efficiently.
5%, 10% off every
skill. I was thinking
sure,
maybe
like
20, increase 50, accuracy
50,
too.
50, 100%. It's free. Yeah. Everything's free.
Wait, Guy was trying to make an actual point there. What was that?
What was that? It could be like an increased accuracy thing too. But I like the lower mana use.
Yeah.
So you're saying like what it takes you to do 3 shots, I can do in 2 shots. Right. You know, like because I'm so accurate.
It could be both, right? It could be, I can picture some of these having caveats based on the class it is. Like if this is a caster, better for mana. If this is a ranged unit, better for accuracy. Maybe. I don't think so, but like it's possible.
Yeah. Toxic. We thinking Toxic has a great comment there by Raph.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially if it's cheaper skills and fighter skills are cool.
Yeah, if I have a warrior and I only have like I don't know 100 total mana, skills cost 50
and
each.
Your moves are cleave.
Yeah.
Ooh,
where'd you get that one?
I mean, cleave's a move and everything, but
okay. I thought Fight Club invented that.
No, D&D had cleave. Where the first guy dies and you hit the second guy. Anyways,
reference something besides D&D. I dare you.
I can't. And you know what? Okay. I don't think the fans want it either. I think that's all they want. They just want D&D content. All right, advanced 4, Toxic. Now we've
like
talked
the Britney
about
Spears song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is about Britney Spears. If you have the Britney Spears hero right now, you win, and it has advanced 4. Oh my god.
Oh, deadly. Toxic poison
has to do with poison, but is it so? It's a passive. You're saying automatically poison is on every.
I think toxic is if someone attacks you, they get poisoned.
Ooh, interesting. Could be.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like that. Like it's what's the difference between venomous and poisonous, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
You.
In terms of D&D?
No, in terms of real life.
Oh.
Like actual snakes.
Yeah, like actual frogs and snakes.
Not a snake guy.
There's a thing there.
We got to get somebody on the pod.
Right, guy, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, there's a difference. Like, yeah.
Do we have a snake guy in chat?
Hey, sound off if you're a snake guy.
Big snake guy?
Elite 1 Giant Slayer. Okay, I think this one could be really interesting. I would assume it's if the opponent has X number of hit points, you do bonus damage.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? That has to be what it is.
I agree.
Now, the question becomes, where is that mark? And I would hope that there'd be some sort of percentage, because if it's like if your opponent has 1,000 hit points, we're not going to, an elite one's going to be useless for all of us until we hit way higher levels.
Well, I think it's just going to be do more damage based on your opponent having more total percentage health. Like, I don't even think it's necessarily going to be like...
Wait, so stay level 1 forever and it'll be more effective? I mean...
No, but it's just like, if it's going to be good at the beginning of a match rather than at the end of the match. Like, when you're just starting off,
mean like per
full,
fight?
They're at full health.
Oh, interesting.
It's just going to hit harder at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that could be.
Maybe, but I feel like...
It better be good for a caster, because I have my best wizard with really high wisdom has elite 1 passive 1. So, workhorse, if you're listening, please help me.
I don't know, Guy. I feel like that's too... This is an elite. You know, this should be like I should say it, and you should say like that's OP. You know, and I don't... The way you're describing it, I feel like you're just saying you do more damage if your opponent is at full health, basically. And I feel like that's not... I mean, unless the damage is insane... I just don't feel like that's very impressive for an elite.
I think it is, but that's fine.
I mean, it's all going to come down to the ranges.
Oh, you know what? We're moving on. We're moving on.
Guys, I hate when you guys fight. Please stop. No, I mean, it's all going to depend on the percentages, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But in theory, it's going to be something about the word giant being in there.
Did something just happen in the football game?
This is a nice catch by Tyreek. It's snowing pretty hard there all of a sudden. So.
All right, Elite 2, last stand.
Did they have to like stop the game because there were snowballs thrown?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It was wild. Which wasn't even that bad. Like, I've seen worse at Foxborough. Anyways.
Right.
Maddie, there's a TV behind you. Could you turn the game on that so I can watch?
No, actually,
behind you there.
Blader's in the way.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Last stand. I think this could be something where, if you're
Raph going to his bag of tricks.
If you would have died based on whatever hit you're about to get, you will not die. Stay alive for another round. I think that's got to be what that can't be anything else in my mind.
Some form of that. It could be
exactly.
Maybe do a skill before dying.
There is
some
also,
form of that.
Like, I don't know, like maybe the percentage health that you have missing, you end up doing more damage. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Fight Club Last Stand.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of similar names. Just kind of.
I mean, these skills. I mean, these skills are in every game.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like, it's either going to be like, if you were to die this turn, don't die, or it's you're missing health. You do more damage based on the health that you're missing. But it is passive, so it has to be triggered at some point.
Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, it could be active at all times, hypothetically. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Well, no, it'd be triggered.
Or not even as soon as. It doesn't matter. Like,
that's the trigger.
Correct.
Be as soon as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, the Transcendent Second Life. Same question, but I think
we don't need to cover it again.
But it's you personally, your hero individually.
Definitely.
Do they pop back up at 100%? I think it has to be 50 at this point.
I don't think 100%.
I think Resurrect can be 100 and Second Life can be 50, in my opinion.
Something that... actually, I don't want to say that. I was going to say that maybe...
Yep. No. Were you going to say what I thought you were going to say? And I was like, don't say that.
I was going to say I think that it might have to do with stats, but the more I'm thinking about that, I don't think so. I was going to say, like, if you have, I don't know, intelligence and wisdom add up to a certain amount, you get that much. Or if your vit is of a certain level. But as it was leaving my mouth, I just didn't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
I think any other comments on the Transcendent there? I mean, I think Transcendent 1
Chat agrees with us.
Hasn't... What? Who?
Chat agrees with us, I said.
I think Second Life is the best of literally both lists. No question in my mind.
Yeah.
And maybe
Chatterbox.
double leadership. I don't know.
Chatterbox.
Depending. All right. Those are all the abilities. We spent way too long on that. We've seen this. Our friend Grady had this on with Hubert.
Tad always has my back.
The original Yeah, that's exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
A complex formula.
He just put it into better terms there as I stumbled through it.
This is very cool. I don't know if there's much analysis to be done on this. This was some of their initial thoughts and like the whiteboard that they had. I think it's better to go ahead and look at this guy, which is so Workhorse shared this and then later retweeted it with better resolution. So that's what we're looking at right now is an image that he shared with us that allows us to read it pretty easily. Basically, in essence, there's going to be these skill points that are early level skill points or skills that you can use your skill points to buy. You know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then when you get onto the lower levels, there are abilities that do more things, have more bonuses, but they cost 10 skill points to buy. And then, of course, finally, there's the matching class and subclass heroes that have access to this 15 cost skill that is like a super move that only the matching class and subclass have.
So before we get into like the specifics of this,
sure,
any big overarching takeaways? Guy, I think you were saying about the fact that it's not really a skill tree per se.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really just going to be more levels than it is a skill tree. It's like if you eat the bear mushroom, you don't have to go to the level 2 bear move. It's just going to be those tiers will open up as you use more skills.
Yeah, you can move right over to wolf. Then you can hop to boar in level 3 or back to bear. You don't need to kind of connect the lines to get all the way up.
Right, yeah, that was a big thing they said, and I think, and we were joking about this because I was like, let's draw trees on the cast, and Guy was like, there's no tree, they're not trees, and I'm like, no, but like we can say I pick boar, I pick bear, and I pick wolf, and just draw a line in between those, and it's maybe a tree. I mean, I think that's interesting that like there aren't any requirements.
Well, but
it seems to be for
there
these
are
first
benefits.
5. No, yes, there's some benefits to like going on the certain track, but you can just do whatever you want in these first 5 levels, and I think that's kind of interesting.
Well, I think it's interesting when you start talking about subclass. It's interesting when you start talking about those 10 plus abilities, because so what's the deal there? So it costs 10, but if you used points on, say I want bearskin plus, right? If I use points on bearskin already, I get that discount.
If you bought this this, and again, I don't want to say level because the level doesn't actually match these tiers. There's a formula that was on that whiteboard. Your level, like you can't get the 2 cost skills until you're level 3, basically. And so forth and so forth. So don't say level when you're talking about these.
Well, so I think that's a good point. So it is a tree in the sense of you do need at least one level 1 before you hop to level 2.
No, I don't know if that's true or not.
You do.
I don't either. You do?
He said that.
He did.
Okay. You have
to, especially when it came to subclasses too.
Interesting.
You can't just use like the 10 plus subclass move.
Yeah. So if that's the case, if that's the case, I'm bearish subclass importance.
Me too. Well, we'll get to that, but I very much so agree with that. But I do want to go back to this.
An hour and a half in.
What?
Yeah, when are we gonna get to it? You're not. You're not on.
Eventually.
You're not on Grady's stream again tonight. We're not going 5+ hours.
We're gonna beat him. We're gonna beat the 7 hour.
No, okay. I'm already. Exhausted.
I know. I already see
guys yawned like 4 times.
Fading, yeah. Anyways, so I'm gonna say skill points. I'm gonna say the cost of the skill points to kind of refer to them. So the 1 cost skill points are at that first level, and then the second level are the 2 cost skill points, etc. And excuse me. So when you get to some of those, the 2-point skill points. God.
Figure it out.
The
Words.
2 cost skill
points.
When you buy like bearskin, when you get to the 10 plus, the bearskin there, if you already have bought the second level one, I know I said I wasn't going to say that, and exactly what I said. That will cost you 8, is what he said. So you'll get a discount on these 10 plus ones if you have the corresponding skill cost 2 ones. Now, that obviously doesn't apply to the blue level 10s, because those ones are just separate from any other previous ones.
So, but theoretically, go back to the whiteboard. What level do we need to be at? We're going to be able to actually use the level 10s, 25 plus, right?
Well, they said 25 plus here, but they said 20 when they were actually doing the AMA.
Oh wait, go back and we can actually do the math.
What do you mean?
Well, because you have to get up to it, right? So you're going to need one level 1,
right?
One level 2.
But you saw him, right?
Three.
He did the math on that whiteboard too. It was like 1, 2, 3, 5, 10.
Oh, did he?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
no. Well, that's
10.
your level.
But
I don't
the
1, 2, 6. No, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes, that corresponds with the number. Yeah. So all right. So that's a big thing we want to talk about here. While we do want to like build the perfect berserker here, we're talking about heroes that need to be level 25 plus to even be discussing these
Something
10 cost skills.
I thought was fascinating that like people were asking about pace of level ups. Like, what are you going to do to accelerate it? And Hubert said, I've always envisioned the best way to gain experience is through PvP.
Right. That was an interesting comment. That combat will be much more experienced than these professions. And professions are kind of like the bullshit you do in between fights. It's very much how he thought about it, it seemed like. He didn't say it's bullshit. He didn't say it's bullshit, but...
they've been saying that from day one, and I feel like we as a community didn't totally believe them, but now that we're getting closer, it's like that's... Combat, PvE are going to be how you gain experience for the most part. If you want items, if you want to be part of that, the in-game economy, which I think will have its benefits as well, especially when a lot of heroes that are doing it today move on to combat.
Which, can we go back to that? I'm disappointed there's not going to be a skill tree for professions.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
Because I do think there's going to be 30%,
50%
50% of my heroes that are never going to be combat heroes. That are just going to fuel the wheel.
I mean, I agree. I have one of my favorite heroes is my ninja common. I call her the fisher because like she's almost at 20 fishing. All her skills are maxed in agility and luck. And she won't be great for PvP, but I love her. And I don't think this is not going to benefit her at all, you know?
Right. And there'll be a lot less fishers on the pond.
Fair.
When PvP comes out, and a lot less foragers and all that, so it'll make that a little bit more important. Darrow Evil had a good question. Do you think that there will be a limit on how many skills you could take into battle? Do you think this will be like a pick type thing? I personally don't.
No.
I don't think so either.
You think these are what you have, and you go in?
And I think that's the point of, if you go into a battle with 3, sorry, I know it's 3v3, I don't know why I was saying random numbers there, but 3 level 10s, and you're up against 3 level 5s, you have such a massive advantage because you're going to have this many more abilities, you know? And I think, while I don't know I think they're trying to build ways for people to compete in other ways. I think just having high level heroes that are advanced at plus classes, you're going to have advantages. And I think that's where this comes in, and that's where these abilities are to your advantage, you know? What happened in the game? I saw you looking at the game.
There's a minute left, all right? So, what else did I have in my notes here before we kind of dive in totally?
Right, so all right. So looking at this, I think very interesting. I have a ton of questions just off the bat. You know, there's the bear, the wolf, and the boar, and there's like kind of, as you go on per tier.
Want to pull up our spreadsheet?
There's multiple. Yeah, sure. You know, so you looked at these. Oh yeah, you broke it down by each
tree.
one. Oh, I didn't do that, did I?
So I can click around here too.
This is gonna be chaos if we're both.
So we broke it down by each of the different trees, right?
Give it little lines. Yeah.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, keep going. Keep talking. You're fine.
You're very distracting. No, so we were trying to kind of see confluence or see kind of patterns, right? So bear, if you take the whole bear path, this first one, basic damage, so no stat really. Increase endurance on bear skin, the level 2. Level 3, it's strength based on, but the formula, Matt, if you want to pull up the actual formula, it's X times strength, or excuse me, X times vit, and for however much you lose, that's how much you gain in strength.
But the two, right?
The two, yes, the two keywords
so
there.
Self-inflict, X times vit, and gain strength equals to X times vit.
So this is what we were talking about. Where like, my first reaction, I think I was wrong. First reaction was that high vit would be bad in that scenario, right? Because you're going to lose more health, but you're also going to gain more strength on the back end. But so those are two
and
stats
hypothetically, if you have a high vit hero, you're going to have more hit points, so you're going to be able to handle that kind of like self damage better. Hypothetically, obviously depends on what's going on in the battle, you know, mid turn, but you know, if you have a hero with high you know vit, you're golden in this situation for that bonus.
Right, and you know, I have the I'm gonna present real quick. So this is the beserker stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see strength, obviously a big one. Vit, only a little, you know, higher than endurance and dexterity. But I thought it was really interesting that some of the keywords here, agi, you know, you're decreasing agi for strength, but that's not totally in line with some of its best stats. And then even more so, if you go over to boar form, it's, you know, blood rage is AoE damage, and it's the stats are strength plus luck. Luck is only 40%. So I like how it's a little divergent from just the stats being, hey, these are the important stats of this class. This is what you need. You know, like
you're suggesting having an off build, having a quote unquote off build, could be beneficial in accordance to some of these skills.
If I'm picking boar form, yes.
Yeah.
If bloodlust is a skill that jumps out to me, I think it was bloodlust. Now I'm forgetting. If blood rage is a skill that jumps out at me, and I'm like, oh, that's really good. What is the full read on that one, by the way?
Blood rage. Well, unleash hell, which is fun.
That's keyword hell.
Axes in all directions, dealing AoE damage to both teams.
Oh.
Equal to X times strength plus X times luck.
Become exhausted. So
Very
that seems like a late game type move.
Yeah,
when
desperation.
You don't have as many people on your side or anyone else on your side. That's stacked with maybe a duelist where you're getting a buff for being the last one alive. Well, that would be one-on-one, but you see where I'm going here.
No, I agree. Like
you gotta
potentially some of those passive abilities boosting this move of, you know, this desperation move could be very cool.
And so, kind of going off of that, I could see you building out your hero skill trees based off the genes of your hero.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying I have an advanced ability that's, say, toxic, and I'm going to build out my stats or my skill tree to kind of play around that. Because that's something that can't be changed.
There was a poison one, right?
Oh, yeah, by the way.
Bear level 5.
Can I give my hot take? I have a take quick.
Hot take. Hold on. Hey, we got to do the segment. New segment. Franz's hot take. And the new segment.
Stop screaming. Why? There's 34 seconds left in the game. Why don't we all watch this, and then I'll give my hot take?
So we'll just do silence for 34 seconds?
Yeah, for 34. Well, it's football, so like it's probably like a minute and a half. Anyway, no. So my hot take, the reroll is going to be the story pages.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
What? That sounds dumb.
So hear me out. He said it's going to be cheap. Story pages were something that were around before Workhorse got here. So they don't have his fingerprints on them. They need to give some kind of fucking use case for these things. I'm so sick of gathering them.
They were never going to have use case, though.
This makes no sense.
What do you mean they were never going to have use case?
They were never going to have use case. They were just going to be cosmetic in story.
Yeah, they were like lore.
Say who?
It was never supposed to be.
No. Hold on.
Day one.
There was going to be a page 10.
Correct.
And you were going to be able to do. It was going to unlock another tree of quests, of PvE quests. That's what they said.
When was
they
that
never said. They never used the words just cosmetic.
I thought they did.
No, I would be yelling about it on
they got on and they were like, yo, these are dumb EFTs or NFTs. We hate you. We hate you, people who play this game. You're stuck with these forever. We don't, and we're not going to ever make them useful. That's what somebody said. They said that in AMA. They said that in AMA.
All right. Anyway, back to reality here. No. So I think it's something that was around before the Wisdom team got involved. It's something that has been going on forever, and they haven't. It was supposed to be 3 months that those were droppable at first. We're on like 9 months now.
Oh yeah.
And they're just piling up. I think it would be very cool to forget about the 10th page that's supposed to come out later. You take the 9 pages, you trade them in for a re-roll item. All right, Larry, I don't want to hear it.
You're in the minority here, France.
That's my hot take.
I like the theory crafting.
It's a hot take, yeah.
They're going to listen to this, and they're going to be like, that's a great idea. We should hire him. That's what they're going to say.
But I think it's just going to be something they add in that just for a small amount of gold or something like that you can re-roll. I don't think it's going to be anything too fancy.
It was an attempt to keep us intrigued when there wasn't much going on, and I want to see them make something out of it. Now that like they have their feet under them and things are going well, let's look back to the story pages. Or get them the hell out of my inventory because I'm so sick of looking at them. I have
also,
so many.
Annoying to transfer
you can send them to me. That's fine.
Yeah, you had to transfer them individually. Anyways, but Guy, I want to go back to a point you made that I thought was very poignant and smart and like actually worthwhile to talk about, other than some other points that have been made recently. Of forming, looking at the skill tree based on your abilities. I think Toxic is a great example. Toxic is a passive ability. We don't know what it is. We would assume it means you have bonus poison on your attacks, right? So there's not much poison moves for the Berserker, but there are some. And, I think kind of like looking at that, so it's a level or, 5 cost skill, spore-coated blade that poisons the target when it attacks. Now, does that mean I should now go full bear and like just do bear moves the entire time? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there'll be that kind of synergy, but like that is interesting that there is at least one poison move for the Berserker that could hypothetically line up with the Toxic, having that Toxic ability,
I'm curious if poison stacks of like multiple stacks of poison is a thing. Because otherwise it's like, all right, you could look at that the complete other way of like, if I have an ability that poisons a hero, I don't need my class ability to poison as well.
Well, I think that's a good question overall for the different effects. Are there levels to blindness? Are there levels to stun, or are you just stunned?
Yeah. I mean, I think stun, you lose a turn, end of story. But like the blindness we talked about, there seems to be some sort of counter, whether that's an automatic or some sort of like, built-in roll of, my whatever versus your whatever blind, attack. But like, I think it's very interesting that hypothetically, I mean, just based on what we've seen for the Berserker, hypothetically, you could use your abilities, passive and active, to sort of inform how you build out your character. Because there's poison moves here for the Berserker. There's stun, there's daze moves. So it's interesting idea that I would hope all of the classes have some of these, kind of matching things. And I think that's a very interesting idea of maybe there is a build for a wizard who specifies in
a poison wizard.
Who focuses on some of these keywords that exist in the game. I think that'd be very fun.
Yeah, having a poison build for every hero. And
exactly.
Building a poison team, even when you don't think about wizards and think poison.
Yeah.
You think thieves and ninjas.
Sure. No, totally. And I think we've seen, and I don't even know if this is the full Berserker.
I think he said he cut off like half of it.
Yeah, but like there's a spectrum of stuff that we've seen here. There's some daze, stun, poison. We see a lot of keywords in a lot of these random abilities, so you have to assume that other classes have that kind of thing too.
Bills won, by the way.
Nice.
Last minute field goal. Sorry, I thought someone in chat asked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think this is super cool. I love it. I think.
Did you talk about Dragon Slayer? Did I miss that?
No. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so one of the 10 cost skills on the boar track is Dragon Slayer. Which, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this. Activate to rush target Dragoon. So again, activate to rush target Dragoon. A lot of words there that I don't know if we know the full definition of. Rush being the key one.
Yeah. Context clues.
I mean, yeah, but like, does that mean bypass?
You're going first.
Yeah, exactly. Or bypass some sort of defense that's in front of you, maybe.
Now, remind me, in Pokemon, were there situations, and I think there were, where quick attack was still slower than the opponent's attack?
No. Well,
it wasn't always.
Unless somebody did quick attack back to you at the same time.
So if you're a low speed hero and you have quick attack, you're still going to be faster than a Pikachu.
Correct. Well, for quick attack only. For that one move. That one move did it, and that's it.
Okay.
So yeah, so like stuff like that. Like, so yeah, like rush. We don't know what that word means. Target Dragoon. I mean, you can kind of assume that means you're picking a specific Dragoon on the map. But also, more importantly than that, is what we're talking about is this move specifically gives you bonuses when you attack a Dragoon. So I found that very interesting because that means, hypothetically, other classes have similar skills that might attack specific or do bonus attack to specific classes. I'd have to assume Dragoon, Sage, and Dread Knight. I really don't think there would be Dark Knight or any of the basics classes. I feel like that'd be, I don't know. Maybe there will be. I don't really think there would be. I think it'd be specifically for these like high level classes, and that's kind of a way to combat those like OP.
Allow the basics to make a build to counter the elites.
Yes, and especially like fighting meta. Like
to me, my first reaction is I would be leaving this off. It's specific to Dragoon. If I'm taking this into battle and I don't know what my opponent's team's going to be, and I understand Dragoons are going to be a class that are going to be used heavily. It's an elite class, right? People are going to use them. But if I get out there and somebody's got a Dread and 2 Sages, now all of a sudden my skill tree isn't as robust.
Yeah.
I'm not fucked. I have all these other skills, but it's something in my holster that I just spent 10 skill points on that I'm going to be able to use even if it's 75% of my fights. It's not 100% for 10 skill points. Maybe I'm putting a little too much weight on that because we're still low level, and so 10 seems like a lot.
Right. I think that's that's a good point. First off, that's a good point. I think we have to a point they continue to make, and that Workhorse made when he was talking to in the Chaos Cast and when he was talking to the AMA and stuff like that, is that like we're talking about 100 skill points, 85 going to your main class, 15 going to your subclass. That's a level 100 hero. I mean, we are right now, based on what we have from the game, years away from level 100 heroes. So like we are so far away from sort of the end, quote unquote, end game, stuff. But I do find this interesting. The only reason, and I agree with you, Franz, the only reason I would incorporate this is if I knew there was an in-game meta that was Dragoon heavy,
Or if I knew someone I was going up against. If rerolls are that cheap and that easily attainable, there's a chance that if I'm in a tournament setting or a big game, that I'm going to reroll right before the match, right? So if I know that you have if I know I'm going up against Mosh, right, and his mythic Dragoon, yeah, I would include that. But where I thought you were going with that, and I kind of want you to, is the discussion of subclass and 15 out of 100.
So, okay. Yeah, and I might, and stop me because this could be a long rant, but
just give us the bullets.
Yeah. So something they talk about, and Workhorse has said this, it's 85 points for your main class, 15 for your subclass. Now, we don't know the specifics of that in terms of, are the skill points designated specifically for the main class and for the subclass, and when do those specifications...
Let's assume they do. Let's assume, for the purposes of this conversation, that
if we assume they do, I would hope that we would never be forced to put skill points into our subclass until we got to level 86. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like, you should never force me to pick my subclass until I have to. And again, unfortunately, I think vice versa is true, even though I don't want that to be true. I would like to put 16 skill points into my subclass, but they're not going to let me because it'll at one point cut me off and say, you're done with those skill points. But I think it would be very unfortunate, especially at early levels, if I have 20 skill points and for you to say at any given time, of those 20, you can only use 18 for your main class, and you have to use 2 for your subclass. I'd be very upset with that. I don't think that's something that would help character building.
So to kind of sum that up, so you're saying the idea of we know it's going to be 85 and 15. Does it come at the end, or are they going to every few levels be like, you got to add to that subclass?
Right. I don't know, and I don't hope.
Because that's a big difference.
And again, also, all right. Aside from all of this, the fact that you have a cap on points you can put into your subclass, in my opinion, this is my opinion just based on loosely what I know about this game, I think now subclass is extremely lowered in value, in my opinion, because there is no point in having a super strong subclass, and because you're not going to be able to invest that many skills into...
Let's take it back. You get the skill, the actual stat buffs, right? So subclass plays its part based on actual stat growth.
Yes.
But in terms of these skill trees, I agree with you, right? Because we're talking about 15. And you theoretically, if you want to pull or zoom out a little bit so they see the skill points and stuff, theoretically, if you have 15, you have to build up to those 10s. You can't just pick a 10 and a 5.
Right.
You could pick... It's levels of that 5. So 5 plus 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah. Essentially, you're using the green, if we're understanding this correctly.
Yes, which is a good point, is that I have a lot of questions on that for workhorse, and I would want some specification on that in terms of, do the skill points have such assignments like that where they're very limited, So I hope that there's more flexibility there, because if there's not, if it's 15 and that's it, and, the subclass to me, in my opinion, does not seem like it'd be worth it to invest so many skill points in it at all.
I think it's good to have one that has confluence because of stat gain. And because if you have a wizard sub, you're only gaining in intelligence and wisdom. You're not gaining your strength and stuff like that.
Sure. But for stat growth, potentially, yes. But I mean, look at this. If you have somebody who a caster who has berserker as their subclass, and your only access is to these green ones that are mainly... Now, granted, there's some exceptions. I agree. There's some kind of...
I'm looking at wolf pelt.
Right, but like for the most part, all of these bonuses are physical damage and bonuses to strength, bonuses to endurance, and that is not what a caster wants. And
endurance could be helpful.
Maybe.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know, I understand what you're saying, but like in general, if your only access for berserker subclass is to these green level ones, that's not going to help a caster. Now granted, there might be some moves further down that like actually weird combinations could work, but like you don't have access to these ones.
Let me throw one at you though, and going off what Raph's saying here, it's going to be a crapshoot if there's ability that helps the primary. What if there's an ability that is just good to have, right? Like I'm looking at Howl. Terrify all enemies, reducing damage dealt by all enemies by X% for X rounds.
Okay.
That's something I might use if I have a caster with a berserker sub. I would probably just go the wolf route in general, right? Get wolf pelt, increase effective agi by X%, and then howl with the terrify. Is that better than a move that I could use as a wizard, than one of my wizard moves? Maybe. I don't think so.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think the wizard move's always going to be better.
Terrify all enemies. Reduce enemy. All right, that's a 3 skill point. That costs 3 skill points.
Mm-hmm. Like, you have 15 to use.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, is that really that beneficial to you when it's that big of a percentage of your 15? I don't know. In my opinion, I think subclasses.
It sounds like you want subclass to be more important.
I want there not to be limits on those 100 skill points.
Maybe there aren't.
And
maybe 15 is the minimum.
What if I want to put every skill point I have in my subclass? I mean, what, you know, and it might be a bad build hypothetically based on the stats and based on the hero stuff, but like I think that I could create some wild shit with if I could have my priest dragoon do some weird shit, you know? I like why are these limits in place? And this goes further to like I want to talk to we've talked about this. We want to get workhorse on and we want to talk to him because not even just like I mean, yes, I want to complain and be mad at him and yell at him, but also I want to talk to him of like why were these decisions made? I mean, are they play testing? I'm assuming they're play testing different heroes against themselves in their own test environment, and they're probably gaming out level 100s versus level 100s and playing this out, and these limits need to be on there for the game to be balanced. And if he tells me that, I'll be like, all right. Fair enough, you know, because right now it just seems like it's limiting it for the sake of limiting it, and I'm annoyed with that because I want to create, you know, my weird ass
iOS code makes a good point that it wouldn't be a subclass. There would be a hero that has 2 classes. There has to be some kind of limit. Where I think it becomes not an issue, but where it kind of changes things is the idea of if they don't make you put a skill point or 2 into the subclass along the way. None of us are going to put it into the subclass until we hit level 86, and we have to. And I think that's the thing I want to dig into more with Workhorse and see if maybe it is that every 5th level, one of your skill points has to go into the subclass. I think that would be better. That would force tougher decisions.
That's going to be part of it because the way it makes it sound, the way he talks about the 85-15, it sounds like there are assignments for the skill points. Now, granted, I don't know how that'll work out, especially because it'll be weird when they turn it on, quote unquote, because we're all going to have level whatever heroes, you know, when this gets turned on and we can use our skill points. So I don't know. We lost Franz. He's so mad at me. He's probably mad at me because I ranted, but it's interesting, and And we hope to get a workhorse on so we can talk to him about this because I would love to grill him on this and how they came to these decisions. Because if he says to me, yeah, we did the balance checks, we've checked it out and like this is how it works out based on our estimate of how the game will play out, I'll give more credence to that because I need more right now because otherwise it seems like they're limiting what I can do with my heroes, you know.
Yeah, but I think they need to. I mean, we've heard a couple of people in a couple different ways say that in chat too. Like,
yeah,
subclass should be subclass. It should not be a primary class.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would rather it be like subclass skills cost ×2, and then don't limit me. Let me buy as many as I want, but it's a little more expensive, you know.
Yeah.
Because
I think your subclass is your secondary class in the sense of you will never be a master of that class, so you only have access to these baseline abilities.
Mm-hmm. Well, but I think that's an important thing and is a little disappointing, right?
Because Franz, you know you're okay. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I was walking back in.
Say something. Say I'm heading out for a second.
I had to get a beer.
Why didn't you say that? You're welcome to say that.
Because we were talking subclasses. So
you don't want to. Well, whatever.
So. That I'm a little disappointed in with what you were just saying about it's not going to be the master type moves. To me, having a priest subclass, and maybe priest is a bad example because I think they will have lower level heals. But when I have a subclass that's a priest, I want that hero to have healing ability, not to have, plus effectiveness to wisdom. That doesn't help me. Having a heal helps me. Mm-hmm. If I can't access those real priest skills,
But look,
that changes the way I'm thinking.
Look at these 1 to 5 moves. Like, there's real moves in there.
There are.
It's true. Yeah.
It's really just 1 and 2 that are just stat based, which makes sense.
Well, well, I mean, honestly, I would love, and I'm hesitant to say this because I know sometimes Workhorse might be tuning in, but
Don't say anything negative.
I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm just saying I would love a test environment, not even in the game, but just like something where we could click buttons and like build a character hypothetically, you know.
Oh, you think that's not going to be built?
I mean, I don't know.
Not by Kingdom Studios, but by
no, yeah. Like if they give out all the info,
you know?
Maybe
if they give out all the info, let us
Zipper.
like test it out, yeah. And let me try and break the system, you know. But
that being said, like of these berserker classes, have you thought of any combinations you'd like and how you would pair a berserker up with another type of hero that you have?
So Franz has the exact answer to that.
I do?
Yeah, you told me you wanted to do a priest one, wasn't it? Or like a wizard one?
No. You lost me. No, no. All right. So what I was talking about was if I have a berserker on a priest or a wizard class, what would I go with, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
What I was trying to do was to play devil's advocate and make the case that there's a path for any subclass, and there is. It's, you know, if I go back to here, you know, it's in the first one. Where was it?
Well, that brought up our conversation.
The first one's not great, actually, but number 2, Wolf Pelt. Number 3, Howl.
Well, this went back to our conversation we were having of, and Guy, actually, I kind of want your opinion on this. When you see basic attack, what do you think that means?
It's a weapon-based attack rather than a skill-based attack.
So I agree with that, and Franz agreed with that, and I kind of played devil's advocate with him and saying, hypothetically though, we don't know if basic attack for a priest could be something different than a basic attack for a berserker.
Yes.
You know, basic attack for a wizard could be a shoot a fireball. You know, right, where they are using their intelligence and their wisdom.
Well, they could be using their weapon, which could be a fire staff or a wand.
Right. So then when a subclass like Berserker says add X to your basic attack.
Keep going. That was a good comment.
Thank you, Raph.
So if it says like add X% to your basic attack, your Berserker subclass, could that be boosting your magic attack? I think yes. I think basic attack is based on your main class.
I think there's a difference. There's a reason they change it to basic attack, and then physical and magical attack are also a thing. But basic attack is all encompassing. What the pre-show meeting decided was that wizards, seers, scholars, things like that are going to have magical attack as their basic attack.
Well, I think that just you're going to have a wand or a staff that does damage that might be magic-based damage rather than physical damage.
Yeah, or might add to, maybe it's that the damage is the same, but your staff adds X strength, right?
Yeah.
Or X intelligence. Yeah.
Right. That one makes more sense for what we were saying.
Yeah. No, but I think the idea, though, and then what we were saying is that an ability, a Berserker ability that adds to your basic attack could hypothetically benefit a caster main class. Because if your basic attack is a fireball that you like automatically shoot, and your subclass is Berserker, it could work out that bonus is given still, even though the Berserker typically those bonuses are for physical. It depends on what the definition of what a basic attack is, and if other classes, depending on what your expertise is as a class, how you attack basically.
Yes.
Do you see what I did there? How you attack basically, you know?
Oh, no, we got it.
Yeah, okay, good.
We got it.
All right. I think
this one's
I
a 9%.
think we might have run a course here.
This one's a 9%, by the way, so apologies for how things kind of get
mine
off
was
the handle.
mine was like a 7%. And I've had a lot of them, so.
So we never even really like talked through any of the berserker abilities. I'm kind of just.
I mean, kind of. No, probably
What
not.
did we do for the last 2 hours?
We fucking went
could
through all
not
those
tell you.
passive and
No idea.
active abilities.
We spent a lot of time on active.
France was like, go through individually, and I'm like, all right, sure, let's do that.
I think that was good content.
It was
Maybe
good
if I
content.
made it to the
was all
pre-show
good
meeting.
content. All right, I think I'll say, and we said this, but a lot of the stuff that Berserker has is strength and endurance based, and that's not a surprise. I mean, that's what it is, and I think there are a few individual skills that have like weird things, like some have poison. That one move has terrify as a term. So clearly, like fear, terrify, whatever. Like there's some fear-based move. What were the other? Yeah, there was other keywords that we wanted to talk about. Blind is definitely one.
Yep. I mean, exhaustion's big.
Exhaustion, dazed, stun.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this thing on? Pets and equipment.
Yeah.
Discuss. No, I'm kidding. There's more of a question here.
I need more than that.
So are you thinking about pets and equipment? And to be clear, I think of pets as an equipment slot. To me, pets and equipment are synonymous.
I think that's fair.
We'll see if that's how it kind of turns out. But
that's the vibe I'm getting to.
Are they going to be stat boosters only? Are they going to have effects? Are they going to have auras? Are they going to have attacks? I don't think so. But
you seem to think that the combat-based pets would have attacks.
Well, I don't think so.
What he said, and I re-listened during the pre-show meeting. You missed it, but he said that only combat pets, only ones that have the little sword and the combat stars, will affect combat. All pets will give you an experience bonus for combat, but only the combat pets affect it. My question is, how do they affect it in your mind?
Plus 2% to all attacks.
All the pets? Damage, all 250 stats. Type?
No, I mean, if
there's 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, it's mainly going to be stat boosters, I think.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to be different per different pet?
Well, no, they've said that like there will be different bonuses per pet, per like whoever has the combat bonus. There's like 5 or 6 different options that could turn out to be. But I think it's like some will be plus 5% to all attacks. Some will be like plus 2% to all defense. You know, depending on your star level, or depending on the pet. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it'll be general things like that.
So I'm thinking, just to break down a little further, I'm thinking the actual effect. So first off, I think it's going to be more than just stat boost. I think it's going to have auras, effects, anti-poison, different things.
It can't be that complicated.
Why not? Why can't a Dreamstone Direwolf stop you from getting dazed?
I agree.
Right, but that's all it does. That's all it does. End of story.
And maybe give you a +2 endurance. I don't know.
No, see, that's an and. Like, I don't know. I think you're assigning too much to them.
Well, that's a very rare pet, I just said. But
sure.
I think the actual type of pet is going to give you the effect, but then the stars is going to give you kind of a multiplier. Where if you have 3 stars, it's going to be that top tier of whatever the effect is. But I think like all Dreamstone Direwolves are going to do the same thing. I mean, this is a better conversation. I wish Mythic Squad were still here because they know all the odd pools and different things like that. I don't know how that stuff comes into it, but
I'm sure
we said it's only going to be the combat pets that will affect combat. So we're talking the options for within combat pets are 1, 2, 3 star combat, but I do agree that it may have some variation based on the type of pet as well.
Yeah. Maddie, this
they've said
talking to you, this comment. So there you
Suck
go.
it.
Yeah, suck it is basically what Effects just said suck it in more words. That's what he said.
No, but I think they've said that there's still like a RNG role to be made for pets in terms of what the combat bonus is. And there's like a pool of things that it could be, you know? Mm-hmm. So like that, I think that's still to be determined. But I'm reading FX comments now on the chat.
Yeah. We're having fun. We're having a good time. He knows.
Yeah. No, it's all good, but we're all friends. But I think you're giving pets too much. I don't think they're going to be that complicated. I think it's going to be very simple. Plus 5% to all attacks if it's a good one or something like that. I think it's going to be very simple like that.
I'll be disappointed if they don't have auras. Auras, buffs.
What do you mean by auras? What are you saying
like
by
an aura. Like an aura. Like a different, like your whole party gets this boost. Like past just said. Stats.
5% to all attacks.
That's a stat thing. Well, I guess because you're saying attacks. All right, fine. I was hearing that as strength.
No, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think, potato here, but like, I don't think it's going to be 5% to all attacks and stops you from being terrified or stops you from being fear.
Well, I think you're nitpicking how powerful I'm making pets, but you're agreeing that there are different effects that it could have.
Yeah, they'll have some cool effects. I'm excited.
There can be an anti-poison pet.
Yeah, I think that's very cool, but
that's what I mean by auras.
Like, I think it'll just be that, and that's it. That's all you'll get from that pet.
Maybe.
Which is very cool and might work out perfectly based on the meta, But
or maybe that's a 2-star type of thing. Maybe if you have 3 stars, you're getting that stat boost and the effect. But if you have 2 stars, you're just getting the effect. Maybe. You have 1 star, you're just getting the stat boost.
Well, that's the whole point of, like, maybe those odd pets can give you that plus secondary effect,
Mm-hmm.
And that's
do you think we're getting equipment before PvP?
No.
Guy?
I think they've built it in so that like they're ready to add them, but I don't think it's going to happen before a kind of basic version of PvP is released.
All right, let me ask you a harder question.
I don't think we will get equipment before land, and I don't think we'll get land before PvP.
You don't think we'll get equipment for land, really?
Because I think you'll need those buildings on
the
land
crafting.
to build the equipment.
How do you? All right, so effects.
Oh no, sorry.
What was that?
I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong button.
So effects kind of just led into what I was going to ask next. Not the what with equipment, but the how. How do you get it?
You craft it or you find it.
Are we waiting for PvE before we get equipment? I have a cool scenario in my head with raffles. What do you need
raffling off equipment? How cool would that be?
One more time. Finish your question.
Sorry.
What resources do you need to craft equipment? Assuming level 10 Preston quest, we're gonna get maybe like an iron ore type of thing. Like not string, but like something like wire or something. Leather is gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
Well, we know from the pets, right, that jewelry is a thing.
Yep.
When amulets, for anyone who's been around for a while. Yeah, but I'm very curious as to how they're gonna. Is it just gonna be crafting, and it's gonna be the same thing as like, oh, I got a mythic piece of equipment here? I feel like there need to be 50 different helms with 50 different effects.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's gonna be a bunch.
You think 50 is not enough? I think
that'll be interesting in terms of like NFTs. Like if there will be different tiers and like if you have a uncommon helm, is every uncommon helm the exact same?
Can't be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point of
there's going to be an RNG roll of hey, there's going to be a rarity roll, become so and then there's going to be a stats roll.
Exactly. They'll become so useless if it's just every uncommon helm is exactly the same. They'll have to be some sort of
There are 250 different types of pets. There are not going to be 10 different types of helms. There's going to be a lot.
That's a lot of work for the team. But
I mean, is it really? It's you could bang that out in a day. the different.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you know what? You're right. My bad.
The artwork might be difficult, but as far as the effects, give Bogside the helms. We'll take care of the helms. We'll have it back in 3 hours.
Okay, great.
We'll crowdsource it right here on this pod.
Yo, you're just gonna send it to the intern, see what he does.
Exactly. Just hey, random. Put this into a random number generator, and we'll just go with whatever it comes back with.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we thoroughly theory crafted.
Are we wrapping?
PvP.
I still don't think we covered anything in Berserkers, and we went on.
Well, you know what? We'll have to do another episode. Fine. We'll do another episode.
We dug in.
I mean, honestly, we would have been a lot better if we had full attendance at the pre-show meeting. But yeah. I think last minute thoughts here, PvP, what we've gotten so far. I mean, what are you guys excited about that we've seen?
I'm excited about all the different layers and different ways we can find new metas and break the game.
I'd just like everybody to like and subscribe. Jesus. And I'm a little drunk, so.
Yeah, I've had a few too. I will say I'm very excited, and I'm sticking with. I know you guys tried to knock my theory down, but I still think
which theory?
Having passive abilities. I think right now, based on the information we have, passive abilities seem so much stronger.
You're assuming that active and passive are the same strength. And passive's better because you don't need to spend the turn on it. Passive's going to be worse than active because you have to spend the turn on active.
I mean, yes. Boom. I'm fine to make that risk. Like, I'd rather buy a hero for cheap that has a passive ability, you know?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Part 2 tomorrow.
Going more tomorrow?
They were saying... What's up, Rock, by the way? Didn't say hi to you before.
Yeah, Rock. How you doing? I heard Rock was sick. I hope you're feeling better.
Get back. I have nothing to do midday while I'm at work. I have nothing to listen to. I need Rock streaming.
Yeah. We need everyone needs Rock streaming always. So all right. We wrapping up? Final thoughts? Yeah. Say some final
Take us out.
All right.
Something crazy. Who has a hot take?
I'll debate Grady any day of the week.
Scrolls. Eternal Story scrolls being used as
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous. You're insane.
All right.
When you see it, remember.
Let's just feed into tomorrow's stream. The wolf build out will work very well with healers on your team comp.
Holy shit.
The wolf build out because it makes effects. What are you looking at? How?
You know what? That's for another stream later. Thank you for joining us. This has been Bogside Chats. For Franz and Guy Kid, my name is Matty Pesk. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Thanks, guys.